Welcome to a series that I plan on making of showing the entire creative process behind making a level from the layout to the final decorated version. The aim is to show me making a solo and just generally the ideas that go into me making a level. And I wanted to start off with the layout today and make the entire layout in either 1 or 2 sessions. I've chosen the song, I don't even know how to say that, by Whimsical. The idea is that it'll allow me to create a progression across. I spent about 20 minutes looking for a song on Newgrounds. I'm starting off with, these are basically my opacity triggers. My 1 is set to 0 fade time, opacity 0, so it's an instant cut, everything's invisible. And then going up in increments of 25 opacity, my 4 is set to 0.75. If I want to make a ground effect or anything, like a blending screen, I can just use group number 5. And one of the first things I want to do is change the ground color to black and the line color to black, because I hate the idea of having these weird textured boundaries. I always like it feeling like bars across that are closing the player in. I'm setting this as to 6, and with 2.2 now, as I learnt recently, you can create the spawn group as 6, meaning that when you press play, you spawn at group number 6. Oh yeah, cup of tea. I'm gonna start with ball. I'm probably... Yeah, I think 1 time speed, honestly. You kind of get that click that kind of transitions in. And I don't want to speed up the player for that because it wouldn't make much sense if it... Let me check. Like fade in. Where would you put the speed portal? So I'm just going to start on 1 time speed and hope for the best. So I put an invisible one below, but I want if you listen to the intro of the song, you get the click instantly, and it wouldn't make sense to have a click instantly at the start of the level, so I'm just having the fall and rise. I also want the boundaries to come in at the start, because I kind of like that. I want this gameplay to be kind of abstract, maybe a bit of memory influence. What I've liked getting into recently is mixing the genres between what makes, or experimenting with the idea of what makes a memory level memory. Because one of the gripes I have with memory levels is that not every part of the song suits a memory style. And to force parts of a song into a memory style and creating kind of ruins the flow for me. So I feel it should be fine to have levels where you kind of integrate both ideas. So maybe the idea I have here is the intro will be memory, and then when the drums kick in and it becomes solid, it's not memory anymore. So I've not got a difficulty in my head specifically, but from what I'm working with, it'll probably be medium demon, depending on how I decorate it. Here I'm gonna align these to X so that it looks a bit more even. Here I'm kind of I'm messing with the idea of making the level learny, because this intro I want it to be kind of like I said, leaning into that memory style. Sometimes memory doesn't have to be so explicit. Sometimes the path can be clear, but it's the click pattern, trying to remember that is what makes a level memory. There's not really much click sync at the start of the level, as you can hear. But I'm roughly syncing occasionally with that warping wah 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 sound. I'm gonna have a click here so that you can't visibly see it, but it syncs to the music, so it's small. Maybe a pink orb. Which I like the pink orb, it's small. I might repeat this and see how it feels. Placing the start position down, but I want it on the same y-axis as the ball, so that I can see the ball, where the player is in reference to the boundaries. I kind of like that. I know it's not really suiting the intensity, the kind of double click thing, the da-da, it goes da-da, da-da, but I just like That, I like that, I like that. I think the idea here is that, like, I know I've like said keep away from the orbs in this part, like the big jumpy orbs, but the player's already going up to there anyway. The green orb just kind of acts as like a gravity change, and then I can also add a timing here like this. Change my mind about this. Oh, for decoration ideas, I could have this like copy it paste itself, 2, 3.5, 35, like it goes. Then I would have to delete this one, and I would want this much less, so it's like by the time you've made that click, and then if you add this to 8, and you do the same thing, then you kind of have this 8 on 70. And that's kind of the idea. I want to click where I want the player to click the bottom orb. And so they have to avoid the other orb in a way. I think this should be black, so you have to fully avoid it, otherwise if you click it, you're down. Kind of red pad span here. That being said, I like that click there to kind of confuse the player because the pads are going down. The pads go down, you click and you go upwards instead. I like that idea, like that. And just kind of self-referential because earlier the chord hits green orbs and now the chord hits green orbs again. I think this looks nice. Maybe that. Maybe that looks kind of cool and weird. I do want to repeat something. One click there. So character goes down, and because it kind of goes duh 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 click, and that double click's done with the pad already, so the motif's already been completed. There's no reason to click it twice. There's an idea there, definitely. I want this double click with the pink orbs because like I said, the green to pink motif, and you can get more bold with the clicks now, I think, because as you can hear the little percussion element in the background, so it makes more sense for like the clicks to not be as hidden there. I don't know how I did that, but I really like it, so I might just go. And I guess as the percussion comes in, like the element of the green and pinks kind of blend together. I want a little transition part here, so that I have a bit of time and for the player to know that, like, okay, the genre is kind of switching a bit. For now, when working on this part, I'll just put a color trigger. I'm going to take a break now. I had just spent around 30 minutes working on a new part, as you can see the outline. Yeah, I really didn't like it. I didn't like it. So I'm changing my idea with the UFO, and instead I'm going to try ship. And not mini. My argument earlier for going mini, so what I wanted was to really emphasize the genre switch. I kind of want to break away from the weird, vague parts as shown earlier in the ball, because the percussion comes in and it really hits and it changes the entire vibe of the level. And to show that I was going to go mini to show that change, but mini is much more mysterious in a way. It's much more like closed in, and I want it to open up. So going mini makes no sense. So I'm gonna keep it to ship, as ship also opens the boundaries more. Not fully, but opens it more. For context, I've put the speed portal below, but there are invisible speed portals here. So no matter where you hit it, you go the same speed. You don't want to shrink speed portals. It's just not really a good idea if you're gonna plan on hitting them. Just try, and also always try and copy and paste these portals up so that when you hit it, it's even. Especially for a transition like this, where you could hit that portal at any moment. I kind of want the player to go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So I'm gonna see if I can guide that naturally. I'm also changing the structure type. I'm adding in slopes and blocks as to like show the change in progression in the level, because progression is much more than just how a level's decorated. I think it's also important to mention stuff like how structures are formed, the type of blocks and orbs and pads and game modes you use, because I feel like gameplay has become less of an art form recently, and I think it's very important to show your progression through your gameplay as well. And here, on this hit, I'll go mini. Even though I argued against it earlier, the reason I want to go mini now is because to emphasize the chord in the song, while also keeping the same game mode, so the same kind of like style, but making it a bit more fresh. I'm gonna add slopes here for whenever I go in, so that when we're changing game mode, it's consistent for the player. I'm gonna add one orb click, and I'm not really a fan of orb clicks in a ship, but I don't know, we'll see. I want this orb click to be easy because I don't like orb clicks in ships, but I like the use of breaking up how the ship is structured for this part, and just having an orb click's kind of nice. Look at the wave trail, it kind of curves nice. I might like emphasize that with structures, we'll see. But for now, I want to go back to working on this bit. Yeah, this is really weird, and I'm going for that. I think the way I want to structure this is like floating structures, and then the like stable triangle kind of things. I want this to align with this portal, and you can see by grabbing them both and warping them together that they're both on the same axis, so that's good. So when the mini hits, you're exactly in the middle of the screen, and that's kind of what I want. I'm also going to turn on ignore damage. One thing that's nice about this song is that you'll hear the chords here small, then it'll go big, and then I can change the game mode. So I can keep the player large when the drums hit, which makes sense. I'll make it so you have to hit the pink speed, but just for visuals, it's shrunk down. So, hiding here, but because you're going through this gap, keeping the speed there. And of course, like I said, the cube portal's there to like open the boundaries again when the drums hit. So even like this great gameplay here doesn't need to be that creative, because the idea behind it is to just kind of like transition the player, shock the player through structuring. As long as it's like decent, like you thought through it, it doesn't have to be the most creative gameplay in the world. Oh, holy gameplay. Holy, I cannot play this game. Now that takes more control, because it's important to mention, while this gameplay is like, in quotations, lazy, like I copy and pasted it, it's serving a function. And just because it's lazy doesn't mean you shouldn't think through it. Like, I've still got to make sure that this is difficult enough and balanced, even if the structures are copy and pasted. So still think about what you're building when you're building it, even if it's just serving as like a gameplay transition part for the next idea. And I've changed my mind on this speed pull. I want to save some of the progression till very later in the song when the drums really hit. So it wouldn't make much sense to go 3 times now when the boundaries are already expanding. I'm already creating a sense of progression through how I'm now going to use mainly floating structures instead of the big triangle ones, like swapping the structure type alongside opening up the boundaries. And again, to show that I'm working on a different part of the level, I'm gonna change the color. It might seem underwhelming that I'm not changing the speed, but the idea I have going into this is that the clicks are gonna be like way more condensed, using like a cube, not using spam. I don't like spam in gameplay, but using a cube now I have like so much more use for the orbs, especially with the ship part having like 1 orb. And now it's going to be like a bunch of orbs, weird structures. The idea is that like, then when the drums hit, everything kicks in. Because I don't like going 4 times speed. I don't want to go 3 times speed here and then when the drums really hit, go 4 times speed. Because I think 4 times speed is a bit ugly, and I mainly only use it for like really emphasizing hits, mainly for atmosphere. I don't like gameplay with 4 times speed. Again, I'm going to take a break just so I can like refresh my ideas before I go into building the third part. Anyway, took a break, now I'm back, and I think I'm gonna switch to robot. So I think I'm gonna go cube, then robot, to keep those boundaries open. I don't plan on making this gameplay too experimental. I think it can be as simple as just demon. At least the transition click going in should be kind of normal. I don't like transition clicks where they're just really difficult. I think it makes sense to have the difficulty be like when you're in it, rather than, okay, you change to a game mode, instantly react. Here, this is like just a nice general structure. I think it just looks pretty. And I don't want to go too high, so like that little bit of blue, that gravity change just gives you a tiny bit more momentum, which can be used to make a timing. And here, I'm doing a little black orb timing. I want the player to hit black orb so they hit the bottom block rather than the block above. And just to emphasize that, I'll put a spike. You have to hold there, otherwise you can't get the click down consistently. And then also you have to click this green orb. It's now a timing through that blue portal. So that blue portal causes you to have to click the green orb, otherwise you use up the blue portal for the black orb, then the black orb wouldn't work. So like there, the blue orb's been used up and then your gravity doesn't change. And this level's had a bit of repetition in the past so far, and to kind of keep to that theming a bit, and it just looks nice. It just looks nice. And again, I'm going to make this a little timing. I'm also going to close the player in here because I kind of like these closed structures. I think it's important to mention I didn't want to use a yellow orb, because if you look so far at the gameplay, it's mainly made up of green, black, and blue and yellow portals. Oh, power outside. So I feel like putting a yellow orb. I know I'm using a pink pad, which kind of breaks away from it, but you know, it still works. And I might repeat it again. And change the left click. No, I've changed my mind. If I'm gonna repeat it, I want to do something else like these two. I want to do something more structure heavy, because I like making structures. When it comes to decorating, it's much more easier to decorate structures than just nothing. So I want to do something with structures, just for when it comes to decorating it's easier. And now this is a weird timing, and I'll see how it plays, because I don't know if this will be good. And here, basically it's the same click, I'm just making it so that there are more structures. And something's speaking to me about 2 weird pink orb timing. And my robot gimmick might, instead of it just being a regular robot, I might allow it to hit the walls, hit like the head on the wall stuff. Here, we'll go allow head color, scale up to around 5, because we don't know where the player is going to hit this. Add a new group, and then here, set it so the player locks to player X, locks to player Y, and we'll put 50 seconds. To make it easier for you guys to see, I will put this on group 2. And here I feel fine using yellow orb. The game mode's changed, it's different. And here I'm just going to go for like a simple robot timing, because I've not done much with the actual robot so far in this level. If you hit the blue after you've hit the pad, making it a timing, you'll just fall straight. And that's the plan. Even though I haven't repeated much in the robot, I want to then highlight that by having this specific part just be the same clip. I am going to take a break for a bit though, as my back is killing. I don't have much left now. I'm going to use pads mainly for this part, I think, because I want to experiment with pads now that I've got the second half of the pre-drop. And I've already experimented with pads earlier in the level, so I think it makes sense. And there, that's just a nice click that I've used quite a bit. And I like this idea here, where I'm now using the yellow pad as a obstacle, as throughout this level there's not been that much yellow pad usage. I mean, there's one there, and then prior to that, pretty much none. And I'm also going to get rid of the pink orb and make it a timer. And here, making that a timer as well. So I think it just makes sense. I want the difficulty to be a bit consistent, and I'm scared this part's going to be a lot easier than those earlier parts. And here I want to have a repeating thing again as the melody kind of cuts out and it's just the drums. And here I'm going to have a part where you have to dodge pads that are in the sky that don't change the gravity as obstacles. There's something about this which I really like, and I know it feels really lazy and copy and paste, and I'm very normally against that, but there is something about the endurance with these clicks that just feel very satisfying to do. You get this endurance click, and now I want it to get really weird, because we're about to go into the drop, and for the first time since the start we hear 2 chords in a full bar, and I think that's like a note for we need to change something up.
Please, me, I need this! My mom is kind of homeless.
Now, what I want to do for this part is, rather than making gameplay, I want to transition it to the staircase by bringing it all the way down. And maybe, I think the idea when it comes to decoration, I might have an animation here, or I might just do like something weird. And I'll find out. I think I want this to be a wave. We're about 45 seconds in.
I did sleep, and then now it is the next day. There is something I want to do with the wave gameplay here. There was a part with a level Blee made a while ago. It's called Absolute Garbage, and his wave part in there is just really cool to look at, because he utilizes slopes and dash orbs in the wave, and it's not something I've really seen like executed so well before. So I'm going to try and experiment with structures like this, where I want the player to let go before here, but I want them to be down on this slope, so that they can go into this portal here. I'm going to make it so that I don't like it when there's some objects you can slide on and some objects you can't slide on in a wave. I do want to say I'm infamously bad at making wave gameplay. I've always sucked at it. I can make generally good gameplay, but it's never like satisfying. So the gameplay I'm making now I'm gonna really try and push myself to make something good here, but I really do want a wave part in this level, and I want to improve my gameplay when it comes to making wave, because I've kind of always shied away from it. So I'm gonna see what I can do now. I just want to make something weird. They are like used in the same way that they were earlier in the ship. These structures, and now they're being referenced for the wave. I want the gameplay to become less gimmicky for this last bit of drums. There's nothing about this that made me want to do Spider other than the drums mainly because they're so punchy, and I just think it's interesting to go from Wave, which is such a like middle emphasized like game mode, to Spider. I would see these game modes as literally the complete opposite of each other. And I want this to be a late time, but I'll make it so that the player, they'll always hit the blue pad, but I want this to be a very late timing. And here the black orb's literally just for consistency, because you can make that click without the black orb. The black orb just allows you to make sure you're on that slope. Alright, I'm gonna take a break. So I think the plan for this is I'm going to keep the click pattern pretty simple. Actually, I don't know if I want to keep it simple. I think I want to carry on with that flow and keep it a bit jolty. Again, the UFO isn't really a game mode I use much. I used to use it much more when I was less experienced with the game. As I kind of got to terms with my creating style, it kind of just moved away from a tool that I liked using. This kind of portal gimmick of you have to click an orb to hit a portal. In this level is quite frequent, but just in general, I'd be experimenting with this style more. Maybe in the future, like I'll find different gimmicks to kind of lean into, but I really like leaning into these. You have to click to change your gravity, like this and this back to. I'm going to move this down. I am going to put spikes here though. And then I want to include one of these timing, go down and you have to click afterwards. Oh yeah, and from now on, I'm also going to just change the colour. And here, even though you're going into this green, I want the player to hit one of these slopes again because I really think these slopes, these kind of clicks look very satisfying. I'm gonna have kind of a double click staircase, or I might just have 3 UFO timings, because I feel like even though there's that much chaos in this kind of drop area, that just these 3 clicks alone are gonna have so much light. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna use the song trigger to jump the song to the final bits. I want this level to be a minute long. It's a minute 2 seconds long, which is fine. It would either be I build for 30 seconds longer and I make that into a second part of the video where I build this layout for a bit longer, or I leave it at 1 minute and kind of end the progression here. And for this video, I'm gonna end this video now. If you want me to extend it, depending on feedback I get, I'll extend it. Also, any comments on like what you think the name should be of the level, any comments on thoughts on the gameplay or decoration ideas, anything like that, put it below. I will read it. I hope you like this new format if anyone's watched the end. But anyway, I'll show you the finished layout now.